Welcome back to Nick Recap. Today, we're going to recap a 2005 thriller drama movie, Melissa P. Let's dive in. The film begins by introducing us to a shy young girl named Melissa who lives with her mother Doria and grandmother Elvira. Elvira has a habit of smoking cigarettes and is often unwell. Melissa is close to her grandmother but doesn't have much of a relationship with her mother. One day, Melissa receives an invitation to a party from a boy named Daniel, who is the most popular and wealthy boy in school. Melissa has had a crush on him for a while, and she attends the party with a friend, Manuela. However, she doesn't muster the courage to talk to Danielle. At the party, a boy pushes Melissa into the water, but she doesn't know how to swim. Luckily, Danielle jumps in and saves her. He takes her to his backyard, which has a beautiful view of the sea, and asks her about her family. Melissa reveals that her father is an engineer who is always away on business. As they chat, Danielle discovers that Melissa has feelings for him. He takes advantage of the situation and the two share a romantic moment. However, he then leaves her alone, and Melissa feels terrible. After a considerable amount of time had passed, Danielle still hadn't contacted Melissa, despite her efforts to get his attention. However, Melissa's feelings for Danielle only grew stronger. When school started, Melissa tried to get Danielle's attention again, but he ignored her. One evening, Melissa and her friend Manuela went to a bar, where they unexpectedly ran into Daniel and his friends. Daniel introduced Melissa to his friends, and she was thrilled. He then took her to his house, where they became intimate. Melissa confessed her love to Daniel, but he ridiculed her and rejected her again. This was the second time Daniel had hurt Melissa. Feeling fed up, Melissa decided to change her ways and become more like Daniel, seeking her own happiness even if it meant hurting others. Around the same time, Melissa's parents decided to put her grandmother, Elvira, in a nursing home due to her declining health. Doria and Melissa took Elvira to the nursing home, but Melissa was unhappy about it, as she was very close to her grandmother. They returned home, and Doria tried to talk to Melissa, but she didn't want to discuss her feelings. Starting from the next day, Melissa was resolute in transforming herself. She went to a cafe with Manuela and caught the eye of a stranger sitting afar. She persistently gestured to him, and after a while, the man approached her. Melissa, however, quickly left the cafe, leaving Manuela perplexed. Melissa's intention was to demonstrate to Manuela how much she had changed. Days passed, and on Christmas, Elvira returned home. She noticed that Melissa seemed troubled and confided in Doria about her concerns. However, Doria dismissed her worries, claiming everything was fine. Later, Melissa received a call from Daniel, who invited her to his house under the pretext of a surprise. Despite feeling embarrassed around Daniel, Melissa decided to visit him. There, he attempted to seduce her and asked her to close her eyes. Suddenly, a friend of Danielle's appeared in the room and started kissing Melissa as well. The two men intended to be intimate with Melissa together. Once Melissa realized their intentions, she tried to leave, but eventually she returned and engaged in intimate activities with both men to prove she didn't care. Melissa kept a diary where she recorded every significant event in her life. When Manuela discovered Melissa's behavior, she attempted to convince her to stop, but Melissa refused to listen. The following day, Melissa rode her scooter to the museum, where she met a man who sat next to her. They became intimate, and Melissa recorded their encounter in her diary. However, her diary was later discovered by one of her classmates, who read it aloud to the entire class. As a result, everyone learned about Melissa's secrets, including her sexual escapades. Melissa was furious and blamed Manuela for the incident, despite the fact that she had written negative things about Manuela in the diary. Melissa severed their friendship and began dressing provocatively to assert her newfound independence. The next day, Manuela came to visit Melissa, but Melissa ignored her. Meanwhile, Marco, a boy from her class who had always had a crush on Melissa, finally worked up the courage to approach her. However, just as they were about to talk, Melissa received a call from Danielle, and Arnoldo, a friend of Danielle's, arrived to give Melissa a surprise. Arnoldo blindfolded Melissa and took her to a basement, where 4 other boys were waiting. When Melissa realized what was happening, she became intimate with all of them. The news of Melissa's behavior spread quickly throughout the school, and soon everyone knew about her promiscuity. Melissa decides to create a profile on a dating website, where she engages in conversations with various unknown individuals. She meets a man on the platform and becomes quite talkative. He invites her to his hotel room, supposedly for an intimate encounter. Excited, Melissa prepares and leaves for the hotel. Meanwhile, Doria returns home and receives a call from the nursing home, informing her that her grandmother's health has taken a turn for the worse and she should visit her immediately. Doria rushes to her room, looking for Melissa, but finds her diary instead. She takes the diary with her to the nursing home and, upon reading it, discovers her daughter's secrets. While Doria is fond of what she learns, a man arrives and informs her that her grandmother has passed away. Doria becomes emotional and starts crying. Meanwhile, Melissa reaches the hotel and finds a selection of clothes laid out for her. The man joins her shortly, but becomes enraged upon seeing Melissa dressed in a mix of the clothes. He reveals that his intention was to fulfill a fantasy with Melissa, which included him getting beaten by Hunter. Melissa attempts to do the same, but the man starts hitting her very hard, terrifying her. She manages to escape the hotel and returns home. Doria was seated in her bedroom when she broke the news of her grandmother's passing to Melissa, who became emotional upon hearing it. Seeing his clothes, Doria understood. That's where Melissa is coming from. Later, Doria presented Melissa with her diary and questioned the authenticity of its contents. Melissa confirmed that everything written in the diary was true. Both mother and daughter were moved to tears. Doria apologized to Melissa for not taking better care of her and encouraged her to share everything from now on. Over time, Melissa regained her composure as it was her last day of school. She visited Manuela before heading to school, where they rekindled their friendship. At school, an argument erupted between Arnaldo and Danielle over Danielle's relationship with Arnaldo's girlfriend, leading to a physical confrontation. Meanwhile, Melissa and Manuela encountered this scene but continued on their way. Melissa ignored Danielle's attempt to speak to her and proceeded to check her exam results, discovering that Marco, a classmate, had failed. Marco confided in Melissa that he intended to leave their school to pursue art studies, expressing his feelings for her and sharing some of Melissa's sketches he had created. He then shows Melissa all the sketches he made in his notebook, which pleases her immensely. He then requests that she pose for him so he can make one final sketch before leaving. After finishing the sketch, Melissa hugs him and then Marco departs. Shortly after, Daniel comes to Melissa and invites her to a party at his home, but she initially declines. Eventually, she agrees, and that evening, she attends the party with Manuela. As they party, Daniel and his friends become intoxicated. Melissa sneaks away to the backyard, ready to jump into the sea, despite everyone's protests. She jumps in, swims for a bit, and seems content. The scene shifts to a later time when Melissa and her mother are shown walking near her grandmother's grave. They place flowers there and share a warm hug, indicating a strong bond between them. This marks the end of the movie. Please like and subscribe for more video like this. Thanks for watching.